All right, so let's recap this week's racing. Had stage 4 of the Queens Highway After Party, second place, podium spot, absolutely excited. ZRL Finals, fifth place, allowing our team to take so many points. We were about 150 something points ahead of the next team, which allowed us to take first place in our division. And then Club Ladder Race took fifth place across the line over the TFC Mercs, allowing our team to take first place in the competition. We had enough points to win by like 2 or 3 points. And so, again, another team victory. And then on the time trial, we nailed it. I came across in fifth place overall when it comes to the stage, but that allowed our team to take first place again in our division. So absolutely great week of racing, lots of victories, team victories, and so why not challenge myself again on the weekend? And so I decided to jump into this Rhino Racing Macaron Super Sprint. And so, as you can see in the chat, someone asked what the tactics were, and Paul Southworth, his response is, hey, just get on Miguel's wheel. Which I was completely shocked. I didn't even, see him in there, and the fact that he saw me, which, absolutely exciting. Paul's an excellent racer. And so I posted in the chat that the average of 55 kilometers per hour for 2 minutes 49 seconds didn't die, because that's what it takes to set the pace for this race. And the idea was to beat that 249. Now I know I can't beat that. I've gone through the Macaroon before, not by choice. It was part of another route that I was riding, and it ended up crossing that stage in like 4 minutes or something like that. So I knew I wasn't gonna be able to beat that 2 minute 50-second time, or 249. And I know I can't average 55 kilometers an hour on a race like this, but there's no harm in trying. And so with this super sprint, my tactics going into this were I was gonna go as hard as I can for as long as I can until I cross the line. I wasn't worried about what other people were doing. I wasn't going to play this in a, let's stay in the pack for as long as I can and then sprint at the end. Because again, the goal is to beat that 249 record. And the only way to do that is just to push hard from the get-go. And so as we got 15 seconds here to go, we are, in my case, I'm not only mentally preparing myself, put some good music on in order to get myself in the zone and just push as hard as I can. So I start ramping up my speed, and as you can see, I end up launching out the gate at almost just under 1,000 watts, mid 900s. You see me and one other guy just pushing hard, still going in the 600s, 700s there for a little bit. And so I'm just going to keep pushing as hard as I can, stay in the 500s. I thought I could do this 500 watt pace for, a good minute or two. So I was thinking like, hey, if I can go as hard as I can for, the first couple minutes, then that'll put me a lot closer to, being able to get as close as I can to the course record. So I'm just pushing as hard as I can, trying to maintain the speed. You see I'm doing about 107, 108 RPMs, trying to keep my RPMs high so I can keep my momentum up. Now, what I did not expect was how hard it was going to be on these little rolling hills to maintain my speed. And so I get off the saddle there just to push a little bit harder and maintain my pace. Now, as you can see, the group is already split up, from the 20-something people that started. We are about 12 in the front, and as this Sin Rider starts to come up behind me, I at this point start to realize like I am not as far ahead as I thought I would be. I thought I was going to have a gap on the group and just push as hard as I can and let them chase me, but I ended up not having any gap whatsoever. They stayed right on my wheel, and so I start to slow down a little bit through these through this hilly part. Again, partly because my heart rate's in the mid 170s. Not my absolute max, but still hurting at this point. My legs are on fire. I didn't do that long of a warm up ride beforehand. I did spend a little time warming up, but I didn't want to burn myself out too much. I figured if I can go into this with as fresh a legs as possible, then I could go as hard as possible for as long as I can. But as you can see, my heart rate's still in the 170s. I'm kind of holding steady there. My breathing at this point is out of control. I was finding it so hard to breathe. And I was just, looking to stay above that, that 40 watts per kilogram kind of range. Even though I know this wasn't going to be a 5-minute race and I wasn't going to be able to set a new 5-minute power, I figured at least if I could just push hard, then I could, maintain a good speed and stay above 300 watts. I could maintain a good momentum there. And so as we start to come up to the last 700 meters, I'm starting to lose my power a little bit. And again, not able to catch my breath. And so the group behind me is kind of holding on and, staying, essentially right up against me. And so within this last 500 meters, I'm looking at the map and starting to see like, hey, we're going to hit a slope up. And so I slow down to get myself behind this group a little bit, knowing that as we hit this slope, I was going to have to push a little bit harder, and I needed my legs to rest for a moment before we hit this sprint. And as we start to hit the sprint, see one guy off the front there, real far off the front. Everyone else starts to push. We all launch our steamrollers to flatten out these cobbles as best as possible. And at this point, I knew that I wasn't going to catch them or catch up to the front, so I just give a little bit of a dig just to kind of stay in the draft as best I can and cross the line in 3 minutes and 46 seconds, which I was kind of disappointed to see that, because again, the last time I came through here, I think it was like 4 minutes and change, and so I felt like I did a big effort and not really get a lot of reward for my effort. So I'm gonna at some point do this again and go through this. But if you're ever looking for a really hard race, look for any of the Rhino events. I did this one, and then one of the previous ones I've done is a Rhino chase race, which is equally as hard. Like, you're going as hard as you can to catch, to make sure you catch the groups in front of you, but also not get caught by the groups behind you. And so the way those work is basically the D category starts off first, and then C, B, and then A. And so you want to make sure you're not getting caught by the faster riders. And so, yeah, so that was the end of, this one. The entire weekend, I felt like I had bronchitis. My throat hurt that much. My lungs hurt that much. I was in absolute agony all weekend from how hard I went in terms of breathing for this race, and just felt like I could not, I just felt like I couldn't, all weekend. I was just having such a hard time breathing. And so this was absolutely fun, fantastic. Some ridiculously hard VO2 max effort. And hopefully that helps me out in the future, because it was a great event and a lot of effort, but I really wanted it to pay off. So I will catch you guys on the next race. And so as a bonus here, I wanted to, again, push myself hard on the weekend, but not for long efforts, just kind of do some work to essentially warm up the legs, get them ready for the next day. And I end up going up the grade to see what my FTP was and do my best to, really push a good effort. You see I'm adjusting my HUD because I didn't have the HUD on initially, and I wanted to see the individual segments since I didn't have sauce turned on either. And so right now I'm averaging about, I ended up losing some momentum there, but I was averaging about 300 watts or so as I was climbing, and just doing a great job passing so many people, which again, mahalo for the ego boost, because it really does make you feel good. when you feel like you're working hard and you feel like you're getting results, and passing people through these climbs. And so as I'm getting towards the harder part of the grade, it's starting to get steeper and, almost becoming harder to maintain. And so my average is staying around the upper 290s. And as I start to get to this super steep part, I'm doing my best to alternate between climbing out of the saddle and spinning high gears. And the next thing I know, as I start to get almost all the way to the top and putting, I didn't feel like I was putting maximum effort, but as you can see, I'm spinning at 58 RPMs. So that is, slow enough to hurt a lot. I end up coming to a complete stop. Why? Because my chain snapped. One of the pins ended up pulling out uh, of the chain itself, and then ended up splitting the linkage. And so as you can see, I spent quite a long time, if you were watching the sun at the background, quite a long time trying to fix it, trying to realign everything. And so as I finished there, I still push hard to sprint over the top. I would have thought my average watts would have completely, flattened out. I did not expect anything. Even though my elapsed time shows 21 minutes in terms of the race, this is like 40 minutes later or something like that. It was a really long time. So I give a good dig to finish across and end up getting a 285. Now I'm going to do this again because while I am excited about the 285, I do feel like that is not my true FTP. At least I need to go do it again in order to see what I can get coming across the line, and see if I can do better or if I can maintain that 285 in the end. So let me know if that's ever happened to you, if you've ever had a mechanical at a critical point where you thought you were going to have great achievement, but and then ultimately end up derailed by a mechanical. So appreciate it. Thanks for watching, and I will catch you guys on the next race. Hey guys, it's Miguel from That Thing You Just Watched. Hope you enjoyed that video, whether it was topic on nutrition or racing or a combination of both. Feel free to come back. I will continue to put out videos like this and continue to showcase what you can do with smart nutritional strategies, combining that with racing, because that is what this channel is all about. And feel free to check in if you want to see more racing. Click on wherever the link's at, subscribe, and I will catch you guys on the next race.